And welcome back to another episode of Over the Glass. I am your host, Ness.
I am Jay.
We back for another. It's been a slow week. I don't know what you guys have been. Our teams have not been doing well this week, so we don't have much to update on other than like a few little things here and there. Um, I guess we'll start off with something fun. The the silly little Kraken. Joey Daccord seems like a really silly guy. He got the win in yesterday's game, I believe. Won the whole belt that the team does. I don't know if you heard that they switched out the Kraken, the Davy Jones hat for a wrestling belt now, which seems like a step down to me. that hat was sick, like with the barnacles and everything.
I feel like it was a little more iconic for the team than. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's like several other teams that got belts as their thing.
It feels like a generic thing to do, and like, yeah, sure, it has the team colors on there, whatever, but it's like, of all the things you could have picked, you chose a wrestling belt.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyways, that's besides the point. He did real well. Played a great game. He got so excited. He said he got the zoomies after the game, rushed over across the ice from his goal, wanted to jump into the whole celebration hockey hug thing, jumped in there and just bounced right off and fell to the ice. I've seen this multiple angles in real time, hilarious timing. I've seen the slow motion part. The way he falls is just so funny. Like, it's straight out of a cartoon.
I just have it on my computer, just like watching it on repeat. It's got great rewatch value.
Like,
it just seems like straight out of like, that's not real at all. Like, even his teammates, what's his bucket? Matty Veneers is just like, the fuck, dude.
He just looks at him like
we don't know you. We don't claim this guy. Like,
and McCann just stares at him like, okay. That's so funny. I don't know. That's silly things. Staying on goalie topic. Oh, unless you have something else to say.
Well, he said in his interview at the post game that he had the zoomies.
Yeah, right. That's fair, you know. You're pumped, all that adrenaline. You just won a game, playing great hockey, and you want to be a part of the celebration. But what an interesting way to go about it.
Iconic.
Oh, jeez. But yeah, we love our goalies on this podcast. I just want to quickly talk about Philip Gustafsson. I always forget how to pronounce these people's names.
Philip Gustafsson.
Thank you, Gustafsson. Got the first goal.
Maybe it's Gustafsson. Maybe we need another wild fan to come on and correct us. Apparently, I've been saying Eriksson X first name wrong, it seems. I think it's supposed to be Joel Eriksson Ek and not Joel or whatever. So
Joel. It's confusing because like some of these guys have the same names and they're pronounced differently. So we're doing our best.
And some of them are like, I don't care that you butchered my name.
Right. Well, he got the first goalie goal of the season. I think it was shorthanded because they were on the Blues were on a power play. No, Minnesota was. Minnesota got a power play goalie goal. So I think that he made history. I don't know if he was the first goalie to do that, but it is a fun fact. Yeah, goalies.
I mean, so I'm not the best with stick handling when I'm in net. So anytime a goalie can, like, even when a goalie can really do anything with the stick, as far as like getting air under the puck, getting it past like the blue line out of the zone, I'm easily impressed. But the fact that they can, like, the ones that are really good with their stick and they can like flick it that far across the ice, yeah,
Impressive.
that's magic to me.
Right, and to score. I think I heard that during their break before this happened, Fleury actually encouraged him to go for it because they had
I
the
didn't see
empty
it.
net, and so he was super stoked when he ended up scoring. I think they showed
Yeah,
a
Flurry was hanging off the bench to congratulate him afterwards.
yeah, you love to see it.
What a great tandem. What a great mentor to have in Marc-Andre
Right,
Fleury.
big personality, great guy. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
what a great transition! You want to talk about big personality and goalies? I don't know if you guys have heard, but the San Jose Sharks acquired an Askarov during the offseason. We did talk about this last week. And he has played twice now for the San Jose Barracuda in the AHL, my bad. And he has got 2 shutouts. And we are very proud and happy about this and very excited because when was the last time we had great goaltending on the Barracuda? Um, what's his name? Grosnick? No. Grosnick? I can't remember. He only played for the Sharks a
It
couple of
feels
times.
like eons ago.
Right. So, but I remember he played really well and would get shutouts all the time. But he didn't make it to the level of like being called up to the Sharks at any point. Like he did like maybe once or twice. I mean, it just didn't translate well for him for some reason before he got traded or whatever. So I don't know. I'm excited about this kid. Also has a big personality. Unfortunately, when he was interviewed yesterday, he did admit that someone told him that he needs to quiet down his cellies after wins. And I'm like, why would you do that when literally the fans are eating it up?
Yeah, I had a brief discussion with a friend about that, and my thoughts on it were like I can see how that advice from a mentor can be taken with some consideration. Like, I'm still learning about his time with the Admirals and the Predators organization, so I can't say that I know all the things. We've
Mm-hmm.
just seen, like his bench pressing one, and like, and he's talked with like Wallman about, because they're both like big on making
Cellies.
their celebrations a little more unique. But I have seen some talk on the other side of the coin about, maybe maybe he gets like too prideful to the point where it hurts the team. Not, this is outside of the celebration part of it. So I don't know if it's like, because with these interviews, it's like they can ask the question, but the answer isn't necessarily like contained within that question. And so I kind of felt like maybe it was like a bigger conversation than just like, hey, you like your job too much. You need to you need to settle down. So that's kind of how I felt about it. Maybe there's more to it than just like how he celebrates at the end, because I think like even we could go back to like a goaltender like Joey Daccord.
Mm.
Like, I think he's, I don't follow them too well, but like these younger goalies that are coming up, like I think they have a little more wiggle room to, like with the with the vibes from the younger generation versus this old man hockey club. Like, I think we're seeing more opportunity for all players to just be themselves, as within as much as hockey will allow them to. We're still not where we want to be, where like anytime I watch like a football game, you're seeing them celebrate like every 5 seconds, and they're
Right.
doing like a super elaborate thing. Like, that would be like the dream, to just let them do it.
Yeah.
But so when I saw him make mention of it, and he was a little, he's not gonna put a name out there. Like, I wouldn't do that either, you
Mm.
know. But I want to hope that, and he seems to understand that we're not trying, the person's not trying to say like, hey, don't do any of that. Just focus on your game. But I can see maybe as like a younger goalie that you still have a lot to work on the game side of it, that
Sure.
maybe, they want to keep him focused. So that's kind of how I sort of took it. And at the same time, I was also like thinking about, when Austin Matthews scores and he does the
Mhm.
whole thing where he
Yeah.
skates by and he's just like this to the entire crowd.
Are you
And
not
I was,
entertained?
yeah. And then I'm like, but on the same topic, like, are we telling someone, like, I mean, the Leafs aren't exactly doing great right now. Are we telling Austin Matthews, like, hey, why don't you focus on getting to the next round instead of, being so elaborate in your
Right.
celebrations for your goals that don't end up winning the game? Like,
Right.
so I was kind of like, we're going to take that with a grain of salt. We're going to let that breathe and
Yeah.
see where that goes. But I think for Askarov, he's at least just excited to be, in a new environment. And it looks like he's kind of taking it for what it is. And looks like they're having fun because obviously winning games gives
It's
you
fun.
this sense of like excitement and
Zoomies.
optimism. Yeah.
Yeah, I could like I see your point. I feel like on the side of telling him to tone it down, I feel it could probably be maybe it could be seen as disrespectful or annoying after a while or whatever because hockey culture isn't used to it, like everyone's so quiet and stays in their lane. But I don't know if it's just the type of oh my bad, the type of fan that I am. I love to see the big personalities. I love to see someone shaking things up because hockey is so monotonous. Like throw in some color in there. I like this guy. Um
Yeah. Cause I wonder what, and I guess we might never know, or maybe we need to get a Preds fan on here to give us like the juicy details. But just the reasons why the Preds made the trade seem a
yeah,
bit like unclear. And so that's why I'm like, there's a lot of things that I feel like are not being said. So I'm just going to take what's being given to us with a grain of salt. And I'm just hoping that at the end of the day, he feels like he can still be himself, and they're doing it, they're giving him that advice with the direction of we're trying to ensure that you're the most successful as you can be in
mhm.
our franchise. um and so that's kind of like how I'm sort of going into it. And he did mention in that post game interview that, going back to like what you were mentioning, like maybe it was mentioned to him from a hockey perspective of like, oh, it could be seen as disrespectful, which is why, I can see what you're talking about. And that that's why my thought on the Austin Matthews thing kind of felt like a double standard. It's like, oh,
Right.
in this hypothetical scenario, are we double standarding him because, oh, well, you're not like an Austin Matthews, like you don't have like you're not on that
Yet.
level to, be able to act that certain way. You haven't established yourself yet. Some like lame ass reason.
Right.
Um
Because hockey, like at the NHL, is full of soft people. As hard
yeah.
as the people want to act, they get their feelings
Yeah.
hurt so easily.
Mhm. Mhm.
Just let the kids
But
play.
but he did mention in that interview that, like there's very few times for a goaltender to be able to celebrate, because if he knows, like, if I celebrate after like stopping the puck, like that's
Ha,
like
I did it!
imagine if he sees like 50 shots a night and every after every shot he's like doing something. like
That's
that.
crazy.
He's like, yeah, that would be disrespectful. That would be excessive. But it's like for him to at the end of the game, it's like, oh, I contributed to a win. Well, let me have the opportunity to do something fun to
Right.
show, my excitement.
But
So if
it's
it's
not just the win, right? Like he got shutouts. Like let him
right,
celebrate
right,
how
right.
he wants.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
not easy.
Yeah, yeah. So so I saw that for his first shutout, he did the thing of like dropping the net down
Right.
and whatever. So I don't know if that's like him toning, that's the version of toning it down. Like we haven't really seen a whole lot from him yet. Um, so maybe if when he makes it to the big club, maybe, he like gets himself acclimated and establishes himself, maybe they loosen the leash on it or something. Like I'm definitely on the side of optimism that I think that just want him to focus on his game right now. And
Yeah.
maybe that's one of the reasons why the Preds, for their reason, decided we're fine with letting him go.
I thought it was also because they didn't really have room for him to move up in that organization because they have Saros and
I think it
whoever
was a
the other goal is.
combination. It was a
Okay.
combination. I just remember their GM now. I just remember seeing snippets of when the trade was happening and just reactions from like Prez fans and things, the reasoning behind it. Like I said, there
Some
wasn't
people
there
don't like
wasn't a
fun.
clear cut. Yeah. Well, there wasn't a clear cut answer to it to be like, oh, x plus whatever equals this, right? There's a
Right.
lot of like, here's what we'll tell you, but obviously there's more that happen behind closed doors that they're just never going to talk about. And I
Right.
don't really know what to take from that outside of, you know what? He's not with them anymore. He's here. He's excited. We're excited. I mean, the Cuda are like in the middle of like their division, but they've only played like a handful of games, and they look like they're having fun. I mean,
They're doing better than the
Luca,
Sharks.
right? And I like, so on top of like Askarov, like I'm super excited for like Luca Pagnoni. Like he was looking to like, there was some uncertainty, and I don't know if this is still a thing of whether he was going to get sent back down to his junior club. But homie just got his first AHL goal. He's like on the power play. I haven't been able to watch any of the games, but I mean, he looks comfortable with the Cuda. So I say he sticks around and makes his mark in the AHL.
Yeah. He wasn't the first. I mean, he wasn't the only one to get his first AHL goal in this game either. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but Donovan Houle. Houle. It's spelled Houle. He
Let me
got
see.
two
Yes,
in
Donovan.
Donovan. He got 2 goals yesterday. First and second of his professional career, which you always love to see these guys getting their first. They get so happy. Also, just want to say, nice little callback from last episode. That's a person of color on the San Jose organization. Add one to the.
Gonna be
Add a
the
little
face of Black History Month. God.
Oh well, because Justin Bailey's on the Cuda now too. So look at that diversity.
Look at that. We've got 2.
And Giovanni
We're
Smith
so
on the
diverse.
Sharks.
Where's your checklist behind you?
I know I need to get one going. That was like 3 for last week.
Your DEI dubs tracker.
You thought I was kidding, guys. I'm so serious. But yeah, Cuda are doing a lot better than the Sharks. The Sharks have yet to get a win this season. But fun fact, they're playing the Avalanche tonight. Oh, it's Pixar night. I'm trying to see if I can maybe go. I'm trying to decide if I want to go. Anyways, they're playing the Avalanche tonight. the Avalanche have been struggling real hard. I don't know what's going on there. Haven't been able to catch any games, but just from seeing things online and stuff. And we both have 2 points in the standings. So today, one team is going to get more than. And also, as bad as the Sharks have been doing, they are not last in the league currently. The Preds are. They have not won a single game or lost in overtime. So, with our 2 points, we're over the Preds with their 0 points.
I'm gonna check right now because I don't recall if I think they've gotten a win. The Oilers have gotten a win since, right?
Not the Oilers, but I'm talking about the Preds.
I know, but when you're talking about like teams that haven't won yet, that was the first team that came to my mind. But the
Oilers have
more points than us. But there was a moment there where I was like, oh, I was talking about it to a friend, and then he said, when's their game against the Sharks? And I said, oh, it's not till like late December. Damn, they're gonna be losing a lot.
What is going on with these teams? Like,
dude, the Oilers I think it was ESPN that does their I'm sure there's multiple websites that do this, but they do like their prediction with their staff on who's going to be the Stanley Cup winner. And wherever it was, I think it was ESPN, like 98% of the folks on the list pick the Oilers. And I'm not saying that it's like they're gonna miss the playoffs or something. Like I don't think that is in any shape, way, or form gonna fly. Like they're literally like, I think McDavid's got I think he's up for his contract the season after next or something like that. And like Draisaitl, what?
I said I predict he stays.
Well, knowing McDavid, he will probably go down with the ship,
right?
But I don't, because you can't just assume that that's going to happen. Like I think that they've got the fire under them from the organization. Like they've been making all these different changes of like didn't they fire their coach not this season, the season after that, and they made some change. I think they have a new GM. Like they're doing pretty much like we see any franchise that's going through a situation where like with us, like we pretty much had to start rebuilding because we already made so many changes where it's like the only other solution now is just to tear it all down. Well, then you've got these teams that are supposed to be making the playoffs and are expected to win the cup, and when again and again and again you don't do it, it's like now they got to make a change. Well, I don't even think the Oilers what if they don't get the cup this year? It's like, not that I care about them because I do I do love Team Chaos. But I unfortunately had the not so great luck of drafting Stuart Skinner in both my fantasy leagues, so I kind of have to care a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. Freaking McDavid hasn't even been doing much. I'm like, dude, how is winning first overall? You're not helping me here. For my fantasy
it's so funny that you got the first overall pick, and then a friend of mine who's really big into fantasy also got the first overall pick, and so you both are like, McDavid.
What are you doing?
But her after our draft, I was like, oh, did I make a good decision to pick Austin Matthews? I wanted someone new. It was like the thing that frustrated me about our draft was that the person who went, I got the third overall pick. The person who went before me was on auto draft, and I was mad because the next person on the list was McKinnon, and I wanted McKinnon, and I was like, well, I'm not going to get McKinnon because there's no way. So then I was like, should I get Austin Matthews or should I get Draisaitl? But I've had Draisaitl for 2 seasons.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I don't want Draisaitl anymore.
You're I'm done playing with you.
I don't want to play with you anymore. But the thing is, it's like last season he kind of just was like a ghost half the time, and then the Oilers doing their struggle, and then he wasn't playing on the line with Matthews, and then freaking Zach Hyman got all the points. And then the season before that, or 2 seasons before that, I also got McDavid, and that was like his drought season. So I'm just like, I don't want to touch any of these Oilers.
Right. But it's like, I feel like it's too early in the season to be like, this was such a dumb decision to draft McDavid first overall because he's not producing.
But the thing is, like, the thing that irritated my friend was that you have no choice but to pick me. Like, of course you have a choice, but like, you kind of just should draft McDavid because he's gonna be the best player. But it's annoying. Yeah. It's like I don't really like. You actually want to feel like you have a choice to like make your team, and to get first overall, it's like I guess I'm getting McDavid. Like, yeah. Fine. It's not as exciting.
No, but it'll be exciting once he starts producing, you know?
Right.
I was getting really frustrated because I feel like when I was up against you last week on fantasy, my guys weren't producing as well, or like you just know how to work your league, your teams by now, and I'm just like, I don't know, because I still get kind of attached to my guys, and I kept getting injuries on mine. I'm like, everyone's gonna be on IR, and I don't know who to pick, like who's left. But I ended up putting Celebrini on IR because he's out, and I replaced him with Dylan Strome, and I've been really happy because he's been playing really well, right? Who else did I get? I think I got Ricard. What's his name? Raquel. He's been doing all right, and then I traded Sandheim because he wasn't doing shit for me. Like, I got, who did I get? I can't remember, but whoever I replaced him with was doing so much better. But it's been kind of frustrating too because I drafted Lehkonen from the Avs, and he I don't know when he's coming back, and I'm like, do I want to keep him on my team or do I want to get someone else at this point? So I'm still kind of learning this stuff. But I'm kicking Jude's ass.
It'll be so funny that if we record this and something drastic happens by tonight, the end of the day.
Yeah. And then they end up beating me. You're like, you know what? That's just my luck. You can't brag about nothing because it just comes.
And then what happened, Ness?
Biting me in the ass. And then what? Look, we've been kind of texting throughout the week here and there because they're also telling me how they their strategy last season was like, think of something to do, come to me for advice, and see like, okay, is this the right move?
And now they can't do it.
Right, because now I can't ask you because you're the enemy. And I'm like, But then now they're also like, I get too attached. Like, I don't know if I should keep giving my players chances or like do what with them. Yeah. I'm like, I can't tell you what to do.
Yeah. I mean, the first couple of weeks, it's like I would tell like anybody who's like still getting their footing that like if it like obviously if you've got someone like an Austin Matthews, and obviously Matthews like for 4 straight games just like could not figure out how to score, but but you know that this player is going to end up producing. They just need to kind of get their legs under them. So like trying not to jump the gun so quickly,
right?
Especially with because we like up the amount of teams in the league, so the chances of that player being as readily available as like the season that we had last the previous season, where it was like less teams and you just had like more like available players on free agency. Yeah, like just kind of like keeping in mind that it's like it's only the second week. We've got like 20 weeks to go, and
Right.
like it's not going to matter so much now than it is going to be later down the line if you give up on like a known goal scorer, a known like producer. Yeah. So
I'm ready to give up McDavid because he's not producing,
I know. Send him down to the AHL. Guy's a
Crazy.
bum.
Put him on waivers right now.
Yeah. But speaking of waivers, though, like even seeing goaltenders like Ville Husso, and I think that he got sent down for like salary cap reasons because whatever. I don't follow the Red Wings. But I just from the outside looking in when that happened, I was like, because you think about like, oh, he was like he made such a good showing of himself with the Blues, and then it looked like he was doing good things with the Red Wings. So whatever's happening over there, like I even someone like that, you just kind of have to make sure that you're at least reading up a little bit on the player to make sure that you understand like the reasons why a movement is happening. Yeah. And I think that is going to be more important than like making sure that you've got all your ducks in a row so early on in the season, because it's going to like everything might look great now, but then all of a sudden you're like, I mean, I know that you're experiencing like a bunch of people injured on your roster, and then just making sure that you're like, well, I want this player for the long haul, just put him on my IR and we'll pick up someone to stream in the meantime, and then we'll figure it out like when he comes back. Like currently Joel Anderson Eck is back from IR, but now I'm just kind of stuck because I picked up someone from the Flames and I'm like, I kind of like him, so
yeah, he's been producing.
You're just gonna have to cook on IR
just a little bit. I remember who I ended up replacing Sandheim with. I ended up getting Brendan Dillon.
Yeah,
he's been doing pretty good. I think he's got a couple of assists, and he's always good with hits and blocks, so I'm happy with him.
I think it's always tricky to pick up guys who were moved in the off season, because like for instance, someone like a Brady Shea who was on the Hurricanes is now on the Predators. It's like he was good for eventually he got moved up to I think the second power play or the first power play, like midway through the Kane season. And he's like, so you'll get like a periodic goal or assist here or a power play point, and then he'll get a couple of like in the other categories and stuff. But it's like, ever since he moved to the Preds, it's like, well, is he still going to have that same role and potential to get those types of numbers?
Speaking
But I think,
sorry, finish your thought.
Oh, I was just gonna say, but someone like Brendan Dillon, like I think he's playing with like Hamilton, right?
I can't tell you. I don't know actually.
I think he might be up there, but I mean, he's not someone who's going to be on any of the power plays, from my understanding. But like in terms of the other categories, like hits, blocks, and stuff like that, like I think he's always pretty consistent with all that stuff.
I want to say, speaking of the Preds, you're mentioning how Shea isn't really producing right now because it's a new team. I was just thinking about how different that team is, because not only do they have Shea, they have freaking Stamkos and Marchessault.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the chemistry on that team is off right now.
I'm sure you're not enjoying the lack of defense that they're giving UC Saros.
Listen, every time I'm like, should I play him right now? and then yesterday I didn't realize that they were going to play so early, so I didn't even get a chance to take him off my bench, because otherwise I would have played Joey Daccord, and I didn't. And then I had to choose between Daccord and Gustafsson, and I ended up going with Phillips, so he still did really well.
So in my other league, we made some changes where now we only have one goalie active slot.
Oh.
So now and I chose wrong yesterday. I placed Skinner over Daccord.
Oh man, what a
And I'm
choice.
just like, this is stupid.
I hate this game.
I hate this confidence I need to feel in the Oilers.
Yeah, never root for the Oilers. Um, I wanted to pivot and give a huge shout out to our friend Nate, whom we talked about meeting up with him not last week. It was like 2 weeks ago now, almost. He came by to visit, went to the Sharks opener and the game after for Los Tiburones night. Such a sweet dude. Just a quick recap: he's in charge of RGV Roller out in South Texas, like one of the border towns, and they had invited his kids from the program to go visit the Stars for their home opener, and someone wrote an article about their experience, the experience the kids had. So cool. Everyone ended up getting their own pair of ice skates. They got to skate on the ice. They got what else did they get?
They
Oh, it
pretty
wasn't even
much
for
got
the.
to walk into the arena in style. They got like they're part of the team. They got the fanfare and everything. The organization. So if you're not familiar with where McAllen in South Texas is in comparison to where Dallas, it's about a 10-hour drive. Like
Yeah,
it's not an easy trek. And Dallas is essentially the closest NHL team. If I mean, like Austin is a little bit closer, but not anywhere close to the ability for these kids and their extended family to be able to just go out to a game, like how we do, here in the Bay Area. I mean, I'm just around the corner from where the Sharks are. It's not exactly the most inexpensive place to live, but it's like, just we talk a lot about um, growing the game.
mm-hmm.
And this is one of those obstacles where you got these kids who are down here trying to get connected to this sport that we all love. I don't believe they currently have any ice rinks down there, but they've found a way to still find joy with doing, roller hockey and building community. And so they've got this great thing going on with Nate at the helm, and they've been doing this for the last couple of years. And I remember when like Nate had mentioned that this was happening, and it immediately took me back to the very first time that we met Nate was when he came onto this podcast. And we, if you haven't listened to that episode, I'd go back into our season 1 and forgive us for being so disorganized and feeling like we're so disjointed. But at the time we had this discussion, we were getting to know Nate and like how he got into the sport and his motivation for starting this nonprofit. And we talked about how these organizations they need to take advantage of building community, and the fact that at that time the Stars hadn't really done anything at this level. That was like one of the biggest topics that we were so adamant about. Like, that needs to be the next step. Like, you are doing such great things down here, the Stars need to recognize that. And it's beneficial for them to get folks down in this area that is so far removed from where the Stars play. Like, if they really want to grow this game and they talk about doing it, here's your opportunity. And to see it happen several years down the line, and like my first thought was finally
Yeah,
they sent they I mean they connected with them 2 weeks before the event was going to happen. They sent a charter bus down there. If you look on RGV Rollers Instagram page, you'll see all this stuff that we're talking about. They had like the families and the kids and the chaperones. They were all took a picture in front of the the bus, and the bus took them up to Dallas. I believe they spent the weekend there because it's, like I said, it's 10 hours away. And then the kids, like you said, they were given ice skates. They got some time with, I believe, some of the coaches on the Dallas Stars team. They did like a clinic for the kids. They got to come into the arena in style to watch the game. They got to sit in a suite. Like this is like that's gonna be memories and like joy and like a sense of connection that they're gonna have with this team for like years to come.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of crazy for me to see this and be like, wow, we were talking about that 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to finally see it happen.
I just feel so much pride. I'm like, that's my friend. He did that.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was so funny that it happened. Like he had already planned to come out here for,
right.
For the Wii to go see, the better of the two teams. and then, only to get this email from the Stars being like, hey, we want to do this thing that like.
Yeah, so he missed out on it himself, but he's still really happy for the kids that got to go.
Right. So I don't usually like to say a lot of positive things about the Stars, but in this case, good job.
Yeah, and I think for them, for the organization, they did this specifically during this month because of Hispanic Heritage Month. They wanted to take opportunity because it is ran by Latino, and there's a bunch of Latin kids in the organization too. So just highlighting Hispanic peeps because it's Texas and it's like right by Mexico, so it's one of those things too. But yeah, again, big shout out to Nate. Love everything that he's doing down in what's it called? Allentown?
McAllen.
McAllen. I actually forget the name of the city. But yeah. That's pretty much all we got for the week. I don't know if you have any last thoughts, concerns, shout outs.
I just hope that the Sharks do a better job at not looking like the team that they were last season, because it feels like that's the direction we're heading back into. Like I didn't get to watch the Winnipeg game, but as I was getting ready to leave from dinner,
I kept checking the score. Woo.
Well, so like I was out to dinner with my friends, and then when we were about to leave to go to the show, it just so happened there was a TV in the place we were eating, and I turned around and I was like, "Oh, the Sharks are losing."
I remember those guys. That's the team I remember. Yeah. Oh man! Every time I kept checking the score,
and then
every time I kept checking the score, the Jets kept like their score kept going up and up, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? I can't. I don't really have a way to watch games currently, so I'm just social media and score checking.
I mean, the upside to a high-scoring game is that I had Nikolai Ehlers on my team, so I mean, there's
must
that.
Be nice. Yeah, must have been nice for you.
It was like, 8 goals. How many of those count towards me?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well,
we're rooting for the Sharks tonight.
Even though it's beneficial for fantasy, like at the end of the day, I still want my Sharks. That if you're gonna run up the score, at least get the dub at the end.
Right.
Find a way to win. Yeah. I guess that's all I have to say.
I want the Sharks to blow out the Avs tonight. It's gonna happen. You heard it here first.
I guess we'll check that tomorrow morning.
I'm not being serious.
I mean, it could happen. The Avs, like you said, are not doing too great right now, and they've like not only do they not have Lehkonen, the whole bit with Nichushkin, that's all still up in the air. Apparently he's back in the US right now and he can train on his own, but he's still like not whatever he needs to do with the players assistance program. Like he hasn't been cleared to return to the game. Like I think he's not going to be available to like mid-November as part of like the suspension thing that carried over from last season. And someone else is out for the Avs, and I can't put my finger on it.
The captain.
Well, at this point, it's kind of like our captain. Like I don't even like consider him as part of the equation.
Wait, I have a question. Since you mentioned the captain, dude, at opening night, were fans booing Couture during
No, they were saying Cooch.
Because it didn't sound like Cooch. It sounded like boos. And there were people around me that were booing.
Well, it did not sound like booing to me. Like that would be weird. because you know how they have their faces on the Jumbotron? Mm-hmm.
He looked really sad at one point.
Oh. Well, I think generally he's upset that he can't do anything. Huh. But yeah, I think the Avs are in a spot where I'm sure that they're motivated to get a win, but so are we. So,
are we? I'm just kidding.
God, I really hope so.
It's crazy how an 18-year-old kid who's never played in the NHL except for his first game impacted the team so much, because once he left, it was all downhill from there.
I think we'll be fine. We just need to figure it out.
Yeah.
As long as we don't hit the double digit mark. I was like, 8.
I know. Tonight,
no reason to panic yet.
We've only played 5 games and we have 2 points, so it's still much improvement from last season.
The bar is so low.
It's low. It's like below the ground. Anyways, we're rooting for the Sharks tonight. We're rooting for our fantasy teams. That's all we got for the week. I'm your host, Ness.
And I'm Jay.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Bye.
Bye.